Welcome back, you bunch of legends. I hope you're all amazing. It is time for another installment of Friday Q&A. Thank you to everybody who submitted a question for this week's Q&A. If you would like to do the same next week, simply pop your question in the comment section below. Feel free to ask me just about anything you like, and I will do my best to get to it in next week's video. If you want to support the channel directly, there are links to the music that I make, as well as my Patreon in the video description. You can also find a link to the Discord server in there as well if you want to come and hang out and chat. Let's go. Question that I can finally answer correctly. What's this guitar with the, it's not a sound hole, it's a sticker, a ragdoll sticker as well. We send out actually much newer versions of these with any orders from our Bandcamp store. Shill. Anyway, I digress. This is a 2008 PRS mirror that I bought from Norman's Rare Guitars the very first year I ever went to the States. I bought this in 2012, and I have a video up on my channel talking all about it, which you can find, and you can hear plenty of clips of that one. I really love this guitar, and it's kind of all my favorite things about a Custom 24 distilled into what I would consider PRS's version of an SG. And you can get these for really good money. They're probably the most affordable core PRS that you can pick up if you can find them used. And yeah, I should probably put up some clips of this guitar. Speaking of PRS and speaking of Custom 24s, this blue PRS is a Custom 24 from 2002. This was my first PRS, and it's had a few mods, and it's done a lot of gigs over the years. It's been played all over the country, and I took this guitar as my only guitar when we did our European tour. And, you know, I always describe this guitar as the guitar that if someone rang me and said, you need to play a guitar solo to save the world in the next 5 minutes, and you need to put fresh strings on the guitar before you do it as well, because these alien overlords are very specific about the type of strings you have on your guitar. I would grab this guitar because I can change the strings in about 4.5 minutes, and then I don't think I could play a solo to save the world, but you know, I could give it a go. So yeah, this is the original guitar that made me fall in love with the PRS stuff. And as you would guess, 24 frets on there. This one has birds, a really nice piece of rosewood on there, and it's got a ragdoll sticker. And see if I can pick up all the scratches. Like, this is very much, you know how PRS kind of get slapped with this like lawyer and dentist guitar? This one has had some hard love in it. There's so many like kind of dents and scratches, and it's just been a great working guitar on it. So I should probably put some clips of this up as well. Guitars that I play and ragdoll songs, what did I use on the song Foot to the Floor? Depends what version you're listening to. The very first version we put out on a 4-track EP, I used my PRS McCarty, and I used a Boogie Road King that belonged to the person who was recording us, Anthony Cormican. Shout out to Corms, who's one of the most amazing guitar players, singers, music people I've ever met. And I really didn't like the sound on that particular album. I kind of went in and didn't know what I wanted, and that's what I got in return. And then a couple of years after that, friend of the channel, Troy Nababan, bought an amazing old 70s Marshall, and he brought it around and we mic'd it up, and we thought, you know what, let's re-record guitars for one song just to get a feel for this old JMP badged Marshall, and we re-recorded Foot to the Floor with that. We liked it so much that we actually re-recorded guitars on all of that original EP and then slapped it together with the second EP we did, and that is our Ragdoll Rewound album that we put out in 2014. It's really a compilation of our first couple of EPs. and a couple of tracks. So from memory, that is a Les Paul with a Marshall, probably through Troy's cab with vintage 30s and probably with a Royer 121 and a Shaw SM57, probably going through some API pre's and played really, really, really loudly through the little storeroom that I now have as my cab room. So had a lot of really, really good memories re-recording those songs on there. And it was kind of a really cool culmination of when we first did that Ragdoll EP. I didn't know what to do. I just kind of showed up, plugged into an amp, played the parts as best as I could. And then after that, we did the Here Today EP and we worked with Troy. And I really feel like that's where I kind of found my sound, more or less, especially the sound that worked really well for Ragdoll. And then going back and applying all of those tricks and techniques that we had learned in a real no pressure environment. It was just re-recording some songs for fun. And then we ended up liking them so much that we ended up putting them out again. So if you go and listen to the Ragdoll rewound version of Foot to the Floor, that is old Les Paul, old Marshall, fat tone. Where do I source my backing tracks? A lot of the backing tracks that you hear on my Sensitive Sundays videos now, I make myself. They are available to people who sign up to my Patreon. Every time I do a Sensitive Sundays video, I will post the backing track either just after I've done the video or a couple of days before it so people can play around with it. I've also used quite a few backing tracks by my buddy, Backing Tracks by Tim. And then you've got the whole ecosystem of YouTube backing tracks. There's so many amazing ones out there. If you just type in guitar backing track, I think Elevated Backing Tracks is probably the most popular one, and you know, with good reason, because the tracks sound amazing. I think they put out new tracks at least once a week. And then, yeah, you could just use YouTube and, you know, be as broad or specific as you like with the type of backing track and just play. One thing I would say though is, you know, you get a 10-minute guitar backing track. I get a lot of my students say, yeah, I had a crack over this 10-minute track and I kind of ran out of fresh ideas after about 2 minutes. I felt like I was repeating myself. What can happen there is it's easy to forget that a guitar solo in a song maybe lasts 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds if you're really going to torture the audience. So trying to play stuff that sounds fresh for 10 minutes ain't going to happen. Try to use a 10-minute backing track as an opportunity maybe to play the same 30-second solo, you know, 15 to 20 times and refine it and try different approaches and try, you know, instead of doing a slide, do a bend. Instead of doing a bend, do a slide. Instead of playing it around the E string 5th fret, try it on the B string 10th fret or something like that. That's a really great way to, I guess, maximize your exposure over a backing track. We get to the, what do you reckon about this section? The first one is Mezza amps. Have not had the chance to try one, but they seem like a kind of modern interpretation of a Soldano style circuit. I did watch Michael Nielsen's video with them, and as always with Mike, they sounded amazing, but it seems to be an amp that is really curated for people who like that old school, late 80s, early 90s, high gain, greasy thing. So I'd love to try one at some point, as with so many other things. Same thing applies to the Diesel VHX. I was asked about that, and that seems like an amazing all-in-one solution if you've got the money for it. I know somebody in my Discord server has one, and they rave about it. And just the idea that you can just plug into one thing, everything you would ever need out of a tube head and an effects unit, basically in one tube head that is also an effects unit, seems really, really cool. I did initially see stuff where, you know, there was like some hot takes about it because it could detect if you profiled it, but so what? It looks like it's an amazing piece of gear. Onto some music. What do I reckon of Skullfist? And shout out to all the people in Canada who watch the channel, because there's quite a few bands in that, you know, what I would call 80s revival style thing like Skullfist. Skullfist to me sound like if you took Dokken and Coheed and Cambria and just did the thing. That's what you would get out of them. They remind me, not in terms of their sound, but their like attitude and approach to another Canadian band that we actually played with the very first year we went to the States, Diamonds, who I hadn't listened to for a little while. So I was listening to some Skullfist earlier and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go and listen to some Diamonds. So shout out to the crew at Diamonds, because yeah, that was really, really fun. Kind of getting schooled on how to perform, and also other bands in that kind of 80s style thing. Basically, I would categorize Skullfist as a band that would have gone over really well at the Rocklahoma Festival, and we played Rocklahoma 5 years in a row. So we got to play with a lot of bands that sounded like that, even though we were always the sore thumb on the lineup. You know, If we play with a bunch of hair metal style bands, we sound like the grunge band. If we play with a grunge style band, we sound like the hair metal band. So I think that's kind of worked to our advantage. But yeah, Skullfist, good listening recommendation. Go and check out some Diamonds from Canada as well. Something in the water over there. I really like Canadian bands. And there was one more. What do you reckon? Wheel of Time. I actually haven't read the book and I haven't checked out the series just yet. So if anybody has read the book and watched the series, please let me know in the comments if it's worth watching the series at all or if I should just go straight to the book. One last one for this week. What do I think are the biggest misconceptions around guitar gear YouTube and what people like myself and a whole bunch of other people who make guitar noises on the internet actually do? Number one, my favorite comment, well, you can't tell what this really sounds like because of YouTube compression. And I should probably do a whole video on this, but like any streaming service, when you submit audio content to YouTube, there are guidelines about the overall loudness of what you're submitting. And if something is too loud, and this is a entire piece of audio loudness thing that they're calculating, they will renormalize that. The idea being that you don't want to go from, watching moving art on YouTube where you've got lovely piano music and crabs scuttling on the beach and dolphins frolicking in the surf, and then have my intro absolutely just destroy your home speakers or, make you drop your phone out of your hand while you're sitting on the can in the morning. We wouldn't want to do that. So that's one. The other one is anytime I'll watch a demo where someone says, but that particular person makes everything sound great. Let's use Pete Thorne as an example because Pete Thorne does make everything sound amazing. My issue with that is if you're aware that Pete Thorne is amazing, then you've probably watched a bunch of Pete videos. And you could say, hey, I don't know whether I want to get distortion pedal A or B. And you can watch those two demos and you can figure out which one you like because there's a common factor in there. And that common factor would be Pete Thorne. Or if you're watching my videos, the common factor is me and it's my recording setup. I'm listening through the same system for every video that I do. I have the same cabinet and the same mic and the same mic preamp on everything that I'm doing. I use my Axe effects for a lot of stuff, and you can get my Axe effects presets for free. And in that case, if you go and get one of my Axe effects presets and it doesn't sound like it sounds in my videos, it's because I'm not playing it. And that's not a diss on anyone like, how great am I at guitar because my presets sound good and they don't sound the same as you. The way I attack the strings, the type of strings that I use, the pick that I use, how I'm feeling on a particular day, how hydrated I am, the guitars that I'm using, the cable that I'm using, all this stuff adds up. So yeah, in regards to comments that I get all the time, they would be the things that I feel like I write a lot in response to those. The other one is that, anybody out there, but particularly big YouTube channels, they will do anything to give a product a positive review and just make money from it. And, you can look up on Google, how much does Leon Todd earn on YouTube? And I've done that and it's actually grossly inaccurate. So there's one thing, just doing a Google search on something like that isn't giving accurate results because I can actually look at what I make from AdSense and then look at that and go, well, these are definitely not even in the same ballpark. But the other thing is, there's a disclaimer in all of my videos where, yeah, sometimes I'm sent gear by manufacturers, in which case I legally have to disclose that I was sent gear. I have to be transparent by law. I also feel that by being transparent with my audience, you guys can actually trust me so that if I say, hey, I was sent this pedal by the manufacturer, use that to correct for anything you hear in the video. Or if I was paid to do a video, a lot of the time, like I don't do paid reviews, basically. I will do a paid demo where I just twist knobs and have fun. And, a manufacturer can basically sponsor me to spend my time to make a video. And my videos take time. They take hours. I have to do the talking and do the playing and do the editing and do the uploading and then respond to the comments. And it's all stuff I like, but it's inevitably time. And I want to keep doing this as long as I can. So it's kind of in my best interest to lean into those things. I'm not going to say, well, this product is so amazing, it's definitely going to work for you. I would not do a paid review like that, because you guys would find me out. If I said something was amazing and it was a piece of crap, then it's not going to take many people to buy that and realize it's a piece of crap and come back and say, hey, you lied to us. We don't trust you anymore. So yeah, you have to legally disclose all these kind of things on there. There's influencer marketing laws around that. And like any piece of media, you should be skeptical of it. You know, just the nature of media in capitalist societies, it's kind of how it works. I'm not really going to go too much into that, but go and read some Noam Chomsky, you know, particularly manufacturing consent. That's a pretty good idea of how all these things work. And you can probably apply it to gear YouTube as well. But the bottom line for me is, you know, I'm spending my time, I'm having fun. As long as I'm doing those things, most importantly, I'm having fun and it's sustainable, I'm gonna keep doing it. And I hope all the people who watch the videos enjoy it and get something out of it. And hopefully it's educational and a little bit entertaining as well. And outside of that, you know, there's way more important things in the world happening than worrying about that. So yeah, there's my disclosure to all of you. And I do want to be as transparent as possible with all the amazing people who watch this channel, because especially over the last 2 years, it's changed so many aspects of my life. Like, it's changed the way that I work. If I didn't have my YouTube channel, I wouldn't be teaching people from all over the world online. And that is something that I look forward to every single day. And I have some amazing students, and it's kind of testament to what music and what the guitar does and what the internet does as well. You know, use your powers for good. I think that's the only way I can say it. So I'm gonna leave it there. We got heavy on that one, didn't we? If you got a question for next week, put it in the comment section below. If you want to support the channel or you want to join the Discord server, all those things are in the video description. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, be good to one another. I'll see you next time. Tibby would also like to thank you all for helping fund her bowl of cat biscuits, which she's very appreciative of. Take it easy, legends.